The name of my book is Mass Wrestling War, Solution to World Peace, a reevaluation of human conflict in the modern age. We might first ask, why do we need to reevaluate conflict in the modern age? Because the modern age has really changed the reality of life for the average person, and the ethical systems we have not caught up with it yet. They haven't caught up with the atomic bomb, and they haven't caught up with the electronic unification of the world, which took place even before the internet, was simply the radio and the television and the telephone. Okay, we're proceeding into a technological morass without dealing with the ethical human questions of how do we control our conflict. You're asking me who am I writing the book for, and I would say it would be for radicals. A liberal and a conservative. A conservative kind of wants to keep things as they are. A liberal wants to tinker around the edges. A radical wants systemic change. This book is advocating systemic change in our thoughts and our habits and our traditions and ways of dealing with physical force. I'm a radical, but what I propose in terms of physical force is moderate. Or the book is for anybody that's interested in that, that thinks that there's something that's worried about either war or peace. Peace can be a problem too. You know, you can make people into wimps by telling them they can't use any physical force at all, and that's what we have. And Eric Hoffer, in one of his books, says we're all turning into wimps. And on the other hand, we don't want to let physical force get out of control to the point where we're decimating people. I mean, that's obvious, you know. I mean, so I seek a moderate, sort of a moderate way. Yes, we have force to an extent. We stop. We don't go too far with it. We respect the spine of man, and we get along with each other better. We don't try to completely take away that beast element of our nature. It exists. Okay, all right, so we might ask, why do we need a system of physical fighting to begin with, a mode of physical fighting? The problem is you cannot have peace without having conflict. You cannot really even imagine a world in which nobody pushes anybody else around physically. As I say at one point in my book, there are 4 types of human contact. Associative mental, we're talking with each other like this, I'm listening to you, we're trying to understand. Dissociative mental, we're arguing with each other, trying to tell the other one they're full of crap. Associative physical, maybe sex or 2 people working together, handing each other a board or something like that. Dissociative physical, people pushing each other around, trying to get them out of the way, trying to assert dominance. These are the types of physical conflict we have. Question is, can we humanize the physical conflict? That's what my book is about, and I think it's probably been something that's been in the unconscious of mankind for many years, or centuries, really, thousands of years, and it's always been a step away from mankind's grasp somehow or another. The tendency when you fight, the tendency is that it can escalate, people can get hurt very fast, and the attempt to try to humanize it is difficult. My book is difficult. It took me 40 years to write it. This is my 5th draft that I'm publishing now. In this book, I say mass wrestling war. A lot of people have the concept of war, just one big nation fighting another big nation, big armies fighting each other. I take a more general, broader view of the term war. War means anything, even on the domestic level, between a husband and a wife, the cops and a thief and a drug dealer. It means any time we can come into physical conflict with other people. I have attempted in my book to come up to put forth as many hypothetical conflictual situations as I can, and how they would take place under the wrestling system. Now remember, under this system, there always has to be somebody with the gun there, because if there's not, people that violate the wrestling rules cannot be brought to tasks. Everything degenerates. So when I say we're going to have a wrestling system, we cannot totally get rid of the monopolized brute force club them over the head system. My book encompasses a lot of different hypothetical situations of human conflict, which as a lawyer for 30 years, I was constantly dealing with it on a domestic level. I mean, thieves versus cops, husbands beating up wives, etc., etc., etc. One of my conflictual situations at the end is probably sort of more in between that type of domestic conflict and all-out war. It has to do with an ecological dispute between the pig farmers along the coast of a river and the river people that fish in the river. The pig farmers are dumping, have got all these lagoons full of hog crap that's getting into the river, that's causing dinoflagellates, which is killing all the fish and poisoning the river, and getting people, even people are developing neurological problems. Well, in this scenario, I pit the hog farmers versus the fisher people. Well, they first meet, but they are backed by the human spine. If they can't agree, they fight. And then I go through the wrestling if they can't agree and they fight. But I propose and I say that it's more likely they're going to agree because their spines are respected. They can face each other man to man. They don't have to go off to the cops and the law and say, hey, solve this problem for us. They can solve it themselves.
Available now on Amazon. You can order a paperback version or download the ebook.